Hi, and welcome to RJ Academy. Today, we will study Class 12 poem, A Roadside Stand. While Robert Frost is famous for poems about snowy woods and winding paths, his true subject here is the heavy burden of human tragedy, fear, and deep rural poverty. To understand the poem, we first have to look at the physical setting. A poor farmer has built a humble wooden shed right next to a high-speed highway. Underneath their hand-painted awning, they offer the simplest of goods: wild berries sitting in woven wooden baskets and crooked golden squash. These farmers are not begging for charity or free bread. They are offering their own labor and produce, hoping to capture a tiny fraction of city money to elevate their living conditions. Frost describes the flow of money as the lifeblood of society. A massive main artery of wealth constantly surges between urban centers, entirely bypassing the fragile capillary of the rural community. This isolation creates a childish longing. The farmers stand by their window all day, praying for a single vehicle to hit the brakes. But instead of stopping, a dense stream of wealthy urban traffic speeds past, completely oblivious to the wooden stand and the people inside it. Every car that disappears into the distance without a glance leaves behind a heavier silence. It's the weight of being invisible, proving that for these farmers, a single car stopping would be more than a transaction. It would be the first real evidence that they exist to the world outside. Let's look at the situation from the perspective of those city drivers. When they do happen to notice the roadside stand, they rarely feel empathy. Their primary reaction is irritation. They complain that the clumsy wooden structure ruins the beautiful natural landscape. They get annoyed at the poorly painted, incorrect north and south directional signs. And when a car finally does slow down and pull over, it adds insult to injury. The driver hasn't stopped to buy goods. They simply use the driveway to turn around, thoughtlessly crushing the farmer's grass in the process. Others stop for equally selfish reasons: to ask for directions, or to blindly demand a gallon of gas, completely ignoring the obvious reality that the impoverished farmer cannot afford to stock fuel. The urban rich look directly at rural poverty and see only a visual inconvenience or an unhelpful pit stop. They remain totally blind to the agonizing struggle happening right in front of them. Frost then turns his attention to his sharpest critique: the greedy good-doers and beasts of prey. These represent the politicians and the ruling class. The news broadcasts sugar-coated promises, claiming that rural families will be relocated to comfortable villages, near vintage movie theaters and modern stores where they won't have to worry about a thing. The hidden truth behind these schemes is much darker. These are highly calculated maneuvers designed to strip the poor of their land, their resources, and their independence. By promising an easy life, the politicians soothe the poor to sleep with a false sense of security. They destroy the farmer's self-reliance, while the ruling class quietly reaps the financial benefits. The rural poor are trapped in a vice. They are passively starved by the indifference of the high-speed city drivers and actively hunted by the deceptive schemes of the politicians. In the final stanzas, the poem shifts to Frost's deeply personal perspective. He describes his own overwhelming agony at watching this endless cycle of disappointment. He admits to an initial desperate fantasy, the desire to step in and wipe away all of the farmer's pain with a single sweeping stroke. But when he wakes up the next day, reality sets in. He realizes that magical thinking and mere pity do absolutely nothing to change the material reality of poverty. Frost concludes that the only way to genuinely lift that burden is for the people in those cars to actually pull over, to step out of their high-speed lives and put their money where their pity is. Ultimately, the poem shows us that when we refuse to bridge the gap between our world and theirs, we create a vacuum, one that the greedy and the powerful are all too happy to fill. Notes of this chapter is in the description. Catch you next time.